Good evening, and welcome to another episode of your transformative program, Politics and Beyond, with your regular host, Emmanuel Jr. As it has always been done, you can get interactive with us using any of our social media handles and platforms, and also through our WhatsApp and our text line, which is on the screen, 050-888-1800. You can have it directly on the screen, 050-888-1800. Tonight, we are going to talk about something very important, just like we've been doing in these past episodes. And this is really important because it looks like the phenomenon and what it entails seems to be, we are losing it. And I'm just talking about the democracy that we are practicing. People have reduced it to just voting. And so they say, okay, every 4 years we have to go into voting, and that is it. Others will also say that, well, it all has to do with a change in government, so there should be a change in government every 8 years, and that is all about it. So the question that comes into mind is that all we are expecting from the democracy that we are practicing? And so we are going to have a transformative and educative program on the topic, the states of Ghana's democracy. What's next? Indeed, when you look at this, a number of things comes into mind. And we are going to first take a brief walk through some of the things that we've been able to gather as far as Ghana's democracy is concerned. The first one has to do with the first reality. And if you look at the global state of democracy data, and this was done by IDEA Ghana, or IDEA International, it's actually an international CSO. IDEA International describes or classifies Ghana as a country that is operating a weak democracy. That is how it describes Ghana's democracy. Then we also look at the second reality. The second reality is from IDEC. Now, according to the Institute for Democratic Governance, Ghana's democracy faces 5 key challenges. And the first one talks about the violence in our democratic national elections. The second one talks about the weakening of national cohesion. The third one talks about politicization. The fourth one talks about the challenges that arises out of a political duopoly. And the fifth one, which is really of interest to me, talks about the lack of sustained political dialogue and national consensus. And so IDEC admits through these 5 points that Ghana's democracy, or the sustainability, the peace, and the stability of Ghana's democracy is being threatened. Then we also look at the third reality. And the third reality comes from the Afrobarometer survey. That is actually the latest. It was published 2022. We call it the Round 9 survey. Now, the Round 9 survey came up with some interesting findings which I want us to look at. It says that almost 8 out of 10 citizens or Ghanaians say they believe that democracy is the preferable way or form of government. So that is established. Majority of Ghanaians believe that the best form of governance we need is the democracy that we are practicing. The worrying part is that 77% of Ghanaians are saying that the level of corruption in Ghana has increased during the previous year, and that is during the 2021 and 2022. So between the Round 8 survey and the Round 9 survey, 77% of Ghanaians believe that corruption has increased. But the worrying part, the very worrying part, is the third finding, which talks about the fact that 87% of citizens think that Ghana is heading in the wrong direction. 87%. So even though we believe in the democracy we are practicing, it is estimated that 87% of Ghanaians are saying that Ghana is moving in the wrong direction. Now, when we move further, we are going to look at 2 key things. And in fact, we are looking at the first one that talks about the demand and supply of Ghana's democracy. Now, when we make reference to the demand and supply of Ghana's democracy, the demand here talks about the support that citizens have for democracy. And if you look at what we said previously, 8 out of 10. So it means that the demand is very high. The unfortunate part is that the supply side, which talks about the satisfaction that Ghanaians have as far as the current democracy we are practicing is concerned, it is unfortunate, but majority of Ghanaians are dissatisfied. Indeed, the alarming part is that the deficit between the demand and the supply, that is the support for democracy and the satisfaction we get from it. The deficit is such that in the history of the Afrobarometer survey, this is the highest. So an outstanding 26% difference between demand and supply. People support it, but majority are saying that they are not satisfied with the kind of democracy that we are practicing. And that is why we want to move to the next issue from the data, and that has to do with institutions. Now, for us to check whether or not the institutions are working or whether or not the institutions are supporting the kind of democracy we want to practice, two yardsticks were used in the survey. First one had to do with trust, whether or not citizens have enough trust in the institutions that we have in this country, because the institutions are what will determine or define the democracy we are practicing. Now, worryingly, 10% of Ghanaians are saying that they trust the court system, in other words, the judiciary. And remember, democracy involves three arms of government. 10% trust the court. 14% of Ghanaians trust the presidency or the executive. 8% of Ghanaians trust parliament or the legislature. Now, the Electoral Commission, an institution that's supposed to be a referee and ensure that all these institutions or these arms are governed very well or coordinated very well. 10% of Ghanaians are saying that they trust it. So in other words, 90% do not trust the Electoral Commission. 7% of Ghanaians trust the police. The assemblymen and women, what we refer to as the local governance system, it is only 5% that trust the local governance system that we are practicing in this country. And so clearly, on issues of trust, it is quite worrying. Then we move to the other issue, which has to do with corruption. The survey tells us that the top 5 institutions considered most corrupt are: 1, the police. 65% believe that the police are most corrupt or they are corrupt. 55% believe that the executive and the presidency are corrupt. The legislature, which has the members of parliament, 54% says they are corrupt. The judges, the magistrates, that constitutes what we call the judiciary, 46% are saying that are corrupt. Then we talk of the tax officials in this country. The tax officials, 46% says are corrupt. So the pictures of trust and corruption among democratic institutions in Ghana, it clearly presents a challenge to our march towards democratic consolidation. It clearly poses a challenge. And that is why it is very important for us to look at the kind of democracy we have now and then what's next. As always, the question of the day, which will also encourage you to be part of this show, we are saying that we have embraced democracy as the way to go. No two ways about that. But our democracy is clearly not in the best state from all indications. And so the question we are asking is, how do we maintain and sustain the democratic path that we have journeyed on so far? Send in your comments, send in your questions, send in your contributions through our social media platforms or handles, and also through our WhatsApp line 050-888-1800. And when you do that, you should be assured that we are going to read your questions, we are going to go through your comments, and together we'll make this program an interactive program as we expect it to be. I'm going to take a commercial break, and when I come back, I'm going to introduce to you our esteemed guest. There's no other person better to help us understand this topic or discuss this topic other than the guest that we have this evening. And so stay tuned, and we will take a commercial break. We will be right back.
Welcome to AutoCheck Vehicle Diagnostic and Licensing Center.
I hear my car can be checked here without going to Accra.
Sure.
Emission, check.
Alignment, check.
Brakes, check.
Visit AutoChecks at Koforidua Aquadum Road for the roadworthiness of your vehicle, from saloon cars to heavy-duty industrial vehicles. Madam, your car is now ready for the road.
Thank you so much. Auto checks, check.
AutoChecks, your safety, our priority.
AutoChecks.
The average human body mass should have at least 60% water for optimal performance in any physical or mental exercise. We can help you maintain it naturally. X Natural Mineral Water. Simply natural.
Thank you so much and welcome back. Look, you cannot be at any place at this time other than being with Politics and Beyond on your number one station, TV XYZ. As I indicated, we are privileged to have a very renowned person, someone I personally admire so much. I have been following his writings, especially on matters of legality and law, and I learned so much from him. Anytime I see any article written by him, I am quick to look for it. Now, I'm talking about a man who is an executive director of the Institute of Law and Public Affairs. He's also a partner with Praetorium Solicitors. And I'm sure this is what most of you know him with, by. He's a senior lecturer at the Ghana Institute of Management and what? Public Administration, GIMPA, forgive me. I'm talking about no other person. Indeed, he needs no introduction than our own, your own, my own, our lecturer from afar. We are all learning from him. Dr. Justice Sremsai. Doc, welcome to Politics and Beyond.
Yeah, thank you very much.
I'm so happy that you've been able to come.
I'm
and
happy
join
to
us.
be here as well.
Doc, there's this worrying trend going on, and of course, the statistics and everything shows. We are practicing democracy. Majority of Ghanaians want democracy, and I think, truthfully, all of us want democracy. Yet, when you look at the demand and the supply, the demand making reference to people supporting democracy, the supply making reference to people not being satisfied, there is a deficit. With the statistics and everything that we have talked about, what is your initial take on it?
Well, I think the statistics actually reflect the reality on the ground. I'm a teacher and I interact with a lot of young people. And when the issue of where we are going as a country, in respect of our democracy, particularly with some of our institutions, there are comments and reviews of those institutions and how we are going is really, really, on the downside. It tells you that we have a lot of work to do as young people. We always say mean, the old people they are gone.
That's right.
So we have a lot of things to do. And it is not good. One thing keeps sustaining us at the international front, which is past glories.
That's
So
right, yeah.
when you attend international conferences, the people here, you tell people I'm from Ghana, they are very excited, and they give you all the accolades. But when you listen and you are honest with yourself, you realize that everything they are telling you are things that happened, let's say, 20, 30 years, or even 50 years ago.
Good, that's right.
So then it tells you for the last 20, for the last 10 years, no, they don't refer to anything that this country is known for. Sometimes they are not aware.
Yeah.
Also because, Ghana has become the kind of like the, how do I put it? We are like the poster child for the Bretton Woods institutions.
Okay.
World Bank, IMF.
Exactly, yeah.
So the whole ideology of helping, the whole model of helping developing countries to come out of their poverty and become developed country. Ghana is like the poster child for that project.
Okay.
Now, it has its own advantage. The advantage is that we tend to be exposed to more of their, let me call them products,
That's
their
right.
policies, and then we try. The other side, which is negative, is that because we are the poster child, they don't want us to fail, or they don't want the reality to show. So even when we are doing so poorly, because so long as we are seen as good, the institutions, their policies are good.
They are good.
And so they use us as kind of flagship something and they hide our negative sides. So when all other developing countries need money and they are not getting loans, Ghana shows up and they have no option but to give Ghana, because if they don't give us and we fail, it's as if their whole project
has come to
failed.
an end.
Exactly. So they use us as a justification for the policies, which policies we all know in this country are not solving our problems. So it is a challenge for you to actually portray the weaknesses in our institutions, and that is one of the biggest problems we are facing. In terms of, there's a German political scientist and lawyer, very powerful, known gentleman called Karl Lowenstein.
Okay.
Lowenstein, classifies democracy, or let's say constitutional regimes, into three. He calls stage one, one type he calls normative, constitutions. Normative constitutions, according to Lowenstein, is a constitution where the governors, those who are in power, right, follow the rules, they enforce the constitution, strictly, and most of the decisions and the actions of the government go in line with the requirement, the legal requirement.
Okay.
Then there's a second type he calls nominal constitutions. In nominal constitutions, the rules are there, all right. They are on paper. Everybody, you see, beautiful constitution, beautiful laws, everything is in place. Yet, implementation becomes difficult. And we fail to meet the requirements of the implementation. And then we justify it by either saying we don't have a lot of money, resources are not available, and then we give excuses, but the result is that we are not enforcing the constitution, and we are as bad as any other country that doesn't have a constitution. Then there's a third one which he calls semantic constitutions. Semantic constitutions are, according to him, those constitutions where, those democracies or systems where there's actually no constitution. Yeah, there is a constitution in that sense, but whenever the governors want to do something and the constitution prevents them, they change the constitution to suit them. What they want to do. So when you look at these three schemes, Ghana seems to fall within the second, which is the nominal. The normative. Yeah, nominal constitution.
The nominal, right.
Because if you look at the way we conduct our affairs, we have all the laws.
Yes.
Every law that we need to develop, we have them.
Fantastic.
Some of our laws are so good that they are templates to other developing countries, not just in Africa, but other parts of the world. That is how good our laws are. Yet, when it comes to implementation, we are way behind even countries like Togo. We
Yeah.
don't want to hear this,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
things happen in Ghana
Yeah.
which you can't even think of in a country like Togo. I mean, bad things happen in Ghana which you can't even think of in a country like Togo. You know, take I mean, a typical example of where we don't meet.
Yeah.
We have beautiful constitutional standards and we don't meet them. Is this issue of just giving bail 24 hours, 48
Yes,
hours.
48 hour bail, yeah.
I mean, this has been a constitution since 1992. Okay.
Yes.
Recently, the Supreme Court gave a decision saying that people should be kept. Should not be kept beyond 48 hours.
Yeah.
And we also are aware that steps have been taken to establish weekend courts.
Yes.
To
Yes.
prevent that
Yes.
happening.
Yes.
But I can tell you, when you go out there, go to the field, the work
Yeah.
I do,
Yeah.
people are kept behind police cells for days, some weeks, without seeing the inside of any courtroom. Let's take, for example,
Yeah.
this Oliver
Yes.
Oliver
Yes.
case
Yes.
that we were
Yes.
running after in 2022. That is a high-profile case by all
Exactly.
time, because if you
Yeah.
arrest someone and accuse the person of treason,
Treason is
that
a
is a
serious
serious
offense.
matter.
Yeah.
Now, he was kept behind police. He was in police cells
Yeah.
for 3 to 4 days.
Exactly.
Why? So this is even a high-profile case that if you're a government or you are executive,
Your
and you want
attention
to,
should
you
be
want
on
to
it,
even
yeah.
look like you are.
Exactly.
Yeah, but it
Yeah.
doesn't happen. So you can
Yeah.
imagine
Yeah.
the small guy Kwekumenu in somewhere Takwa or
Exactly.
somewhere in my village who has been arrested.
Yeah.
Nobody cares. He'll
That's
be there
true.
for how long?
Yeah.
And then we are not. So we have all these laws and no one is willing to comply with them. There is a big issue which we need to think about as a people, and I think the issue has to do with our very understanding of democracy itself.
Perfect. Good.
We have oversimplified the concept of democracy. Sometimes we call it what? In our local language, in Akan, they say what?
Kebi mami kebi.
Which
So
means say something, let me say something. So it's all
That
about
is all
talking.
about it. Yeah.
And you see, we have, and that's a deep psychological issue, because for some people, the first time they hear of democracy is when they hear Kebi mami kebi. You and I, maybe because of our privilege we have enjoyed, we're able to read and churn out statistics like this and know that it's not just about talking.
Exactly.
For another
Or just
person
voting 4 years and that is it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But there are people who actually believe, and all the knowledge and understanding they have of democracy is
Kebi
that
mami kebi.
talk and let me talk.
So if he can talk some, it means we are practicing
That is
democracy.
all. As far as he's concerned, that is democracy. How have we tried to make people understand this democracy?
Yeah.
For other people, they know democracy is beyond talking.
Sure.
But they also think that democracy means every 4 years, let's go and vote. And those are, they are even worse than the
first category.
people, because for them, they are educated.
Yes.
They
Yes.
have read books, they understand concepts,
Yeah.
but deep within them, they think that it's all about the 4 years election.
That's right.
But the truth of the matter is that, my friend, there is no proper democracy without everyday struggles. All the democracies we know, those that we know are established, like if you take we often refer to the American
Democracy,
and Western Europe and the North American democracies. Those countries, even today, no one sits down and says that let's wait for 4 years to come.
Exactly. Yeah.
No one sits down to say that let's wait 4 years to come. Take, for example, if you go to the U.S. Supreme Court, every day that the court is sitting, every single day, there's a protest happening in front of the court.
Of the court, yeah.
On so many issues. Today is about climate change. Tomorrow is about abortion. The next day is about this. And every single day, there are people who are gathered in front of that court and are demonstrating.
Yeah.
Every blessed day. What does that tell you? It tells you that these people's understanding of democracy is different from ours.
Yeah.
For a very long time, until recently, people actually think, well, it's not even changed, because people think that going on the streets and demonstrating is an act of hooliganism.
Yes.
They think it's a
I
crime.
mean, even now. Oh,
the
there are
governor,
people.
the Bank of Governors described
Exactly.
the MPs who went on demonstrations
Exactly.
as hooligans.
Hooligans.
Someone as highly placed You know,
As
if
a
you
bank-
to be
a governor.
a governor of a Bank of Ghana, you are like top 5% or 2% of the country's elite.
Yeah.
So for someone like that to actually think and believe that going onto the street to demonstrate is an act of what? Hooliganism. That should tell you what is going on.
Exactly.
And that is why you have a whole police service
Yeah.
that cannot allow a demonstration to happen without any conflict or any
Very
pull
true.
and push.
Yes. Yes.
So all these things are part of the democratic process, and they are also part of the challenges we are facing, because even the people who are supposed to know don't know, or they seem to know, but the understanding is completely off course.
Yeah.
If it's all about 4 years election, then why do we have Shraj? Why do we have the right to demonstrate in the Constitution? Why do we have Parliament?
Yeah.
Why do we have? Then why can't we just vote for the president and wait for 4 years and come and vote again?
Vote. That's right. Yeah.
You see, but there is a reason why we have a system. We have institutions,
Yes.
and these institutions are guaranteed some independence. They are also guaranteed some checks, and there's a reason why we have rights vested in the citizens to do certain things, and those things are not lettered or numbered for every 4 years. They are rights that you enjoy every single day. We have institutions that are independent, and they are independent every single day.
That's right.
We have other institutions that are supposed to check the institutions, and their duty to check is every blessed day. It's not once in every 4 years.
Yeah.
So if you live in a country where someone like a governor of a Bank of Ghana, some big people, intelligent people by all standards, hardworking, cannot simply understand this concept. You don't expect the Constitution is just a paper.
Sure.
It's just words written on a Constitution,
Sure.
on a paper, and we call it a Constitution. In fact, it could be on your screen, on your laptop, and it's still the Constitution.
Yeah.
What it tells you is that it is not the letters written there that are supposed to give you much. It is how the citizens respond to those words.
That's right.
It is how the institutions perform their functions under those words. That is what makes a constitution a constitution. So if you think you have a constitution and you can print 2 billion copies, give it to every individual, let them keep it in their homes, and when they wake up every morning, let them read it. If they don't do what they are supposed to do, it will remain words on paper. So we, the citizens, we need to breathe some life into the constitution for it to function. And that is where we need to understand this, that you can't actually have a democracy without a responsive citizenry. You cannot just go and vote and then sit down at home and expect that things will work. Things won't work because there is a... Let's conceptualize this thing properly. When you take a country, for purposes of democracy, governance, and everything, a country is divided into just 2 groups of people. 2 groups of people.
Okay.
Those who govern and those who are governed. These are the only 2.
That is all we have.
That is all. That is all. There's no other division. Those who govern and those who are governed. Those who govern have been given power to do things, to decide and perform functions, do things that they want. Those who are governed have been given what we call rights.
Yes.
These 2 things are constantly interacting with each other. So the governors have power which they are using anyways. Regardless of how many checks you put on them, they have the power. So for example, the president, for a very long, during COVID, our president was telling us when to sleep, where to go, and how.
And all that,
He did that for how many? Over a year.
A year,
It turned out after he has finished doing all that everything he was doing was what? Unconstitutional.
Oh my God.
You see how law works? So he has done that thing for over a year.
Yes.
He will come every 2 weeks in the evening and announce to you, people should not do this, people should not have funerals, and that. And then he will go and come again. He did that for 1.5, almost 2 years, only for the court to say, oh, that is unconstitutional.
Unconstitutional.
What this tells you is that as a country, you can have a constitution, you can have everything, and still have a dictator, which is exactly what people have been jailed because of those commands that he was given.
Exactly.
People have gone to prison.
So it means they went to prison illegally,
unconstitutionally. Without any basis.
That's just like a dictatorship.
So you see, until human beings or citizens begin to understand that When you give power to people to govern a country,
Yeah.
they can do whatever they like with the power. And until you begin to understand that unless you interact with those who have power every blessed day,
Sure.
why do we have this saying that power corrupts?
And absolute power corrupts. Absolutely.
When you give power to someone, be the person an angel, a saint, or whatever, the nature of power is that it will corrupt you, whether you like it or not. So, if you have that power and you don't have anyone either prompting you or pushing you to do the right thing, and people just go to sleep and believe that, oh, it's democracy. Democracy will work out things for us. The constitution will work out things for us.
Yes.
Trust me, by the time you realize the person has
Everything
become
is gone. Everything is gone. Like you've
Completely
collapsed
gone.
everything. Yeah.
So our compatriots, we
Yes.
Ghanaians, we need to understand one thing. Unless, like all the other developed economies and democracies that we see, what their citizens did, unless we begin to do those things, and forget about this idea that we have a constitution, we have 4 years, we won't go anywhere. We will lose this democracy just like that.
This is really interesting and educative. I mean, obviously, we were expecting that, and we are getting more than what we expected. Doug, you raised two key things, among other things that you talked about. Talked about the group of people we have. Citizens, ordinary people, and those that governs, whether we like it or not. Power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely. We're going to take a commercial break. When we come back, we'll dive into some of the key things that you have mentioned. So viewers, stay tuned whilst we take this short commercial break.
The average human body mass should have at least 60% water for optimal performance in any physical or mental exercise. We can help you maintain it naturally. X Natural Mineral Water. Simply natural.
Ifa kura na menye sika. Edi aye mefui.
Ehin fa na menya bosia. Edi atre medwuma yi mu.
Kai kura mabre. Me busia ato taxi fufu. Suhum Rural Bank.
Suhum Rural Bank.
Yemamwakwa baba Suhum Rural Bank. Ye won hyehyɛ ahodoɔ bi te sɛ dwadifo abosia, ekokro bosia, susu account, and it does wɔ hɔ savings account, me bada chain savings account, and the akeka ho. Press Suhum Rural Bank was 03422918896. Na won so what to me aka sɛ.
Suhum Rural Bank. Ama ene mayeka una.
Suhum Rural Bank. Enti me pa minie.
Me damwase.
Suhum Rural Bank, growing our heritage.
Welcome back. It is still your transformative program, Politics and Beyond, with your host, Emmanuel Jr. I am here with our guest, esteemed guest, Dr. Justice Shrem Sai. Obviously, you can tell the things that we have learned so far. And there are some few issues that were raised, and I want us to dive a bit more into it. The first one that got my attention was the fact that Ghana is living on past glory. And that is the fact, whether we like it or not. Indeed, it is a shame anytime I hear people talk about Nkrumah's Ghana. literally what it tells me is that since Nkrumah, we haven't had anyone who has been able to build an ideal Ghana for us. And I don't think we should continue living on past glories. You know, history is supposed to guide us, but we are not supposed to be slaves to history. Doc, past glories. At what point did we lose it? Because if we have past glories, it means that in the past we were doing something good. At what point did we lose it? Particularly when we are being told that the 92 Constitution that we have in Ghana's history is the most strongest constitution in terms of it being able to stand test of time. So are we just interested in longevity? The Constitution has been there so many years. Or we are interested in whether or not the Constitution is giving us the kind of country and the kind of democracy we are supposed to have.
Yeah, so past glories. You see, when we became a democracy again,
yes,
one of the things that the whole world, you know, praised us for was that we have had a military regime which has successfully transformed itself into a democracy. That was 92. And then when it got to 2000,
yes,
there was a huge test. Rawlings, whichever way, was supposed to be out of power.
yeah,
And then another person come. But the test was not, so two tests. The first one was, would he leave? That is, Rawlings as a person,
yes,
would he leave?
yes,
If he left, then we are okay. But the biggest test was, would he leave and give it to the opposition? Or he will give it to someone that he can control?
okay,
We passed the two tests.
okay.
He left, and then he gave power to the opposition.
Opposition, yeah.
And the opposition was able to run. So that symbol alone, that symbolic transition alone, gave us goodwill all over.
Sure.
So you remember the HIPIC
Exactly.
all came in to
Into
just
the-
show
yes,
that, look, these
yeah.
guys are serious guys, they are
That's
doing the
right.
right thing. Immediately after that, we went to sleep. So then we were made to believe and understand that once we are able to transform or transfer power from one political party to the other, our democracy is thriving. That is exactly
That's
where
where it
we
started
that is
from.
where we started.
Yeah.
So the whole psyche, national psyche, was then geared towards conduct of election, peaceful election, peaceful transition of power. And then we never thought about anything again.
That's right.
So as a typical developing country, we should have been looking at our institutions and embarking on constitution reviews or constitution amendments of some of the things that we see are not proper with our democracy.
Yeah.
But we never cared. We will talk about it so long as we are in opposition. When we come to power and we have the power, we forget about it. And then we move on and we put impediment in the way. So, for example, the issue of making the office of the Attorney General
independent of the Minister of Justice
has been with us since 1992.
I remember, yeah.
No one has done anything about it until this gimmick of.
But the funny thing about this is that
institution.
the funny thing about this is that anytime a party is in opposition, they talk about decoupling.
Yeah.
The Attorney General from. I have heard it when MPP was in opposition, NDC came to opposition, and they've been coming and talking about it. You know.
Nobody will change it. Then that is just one.
Yeah.
Then you have all these other institutions. So, for example, someone says, why do we have 50% of ministers from parliament?
Sure.
Every year we talk about it, we need to make sure that the president, because then MPs will not become parliament
stooge, yeah.
and become what we call it, they are rehearsing or they are auditioning for appointment to become ministers.
Exactly.
We've had this issue with that since 92. It has always been so. Nobody has changed it.
Yeah.
So the problem is that we are unwilling to transform our institutions and to improve our lot, because see, constitutions are meant to live forever.
Exactly.
So the fact that you have done 30 years doesn't mean that you have achieved anything. You can actually, if nothing happens, it could be there for another 100,000 years, and that's how it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
But so you having a constitution and being there for long is not even an achievement, really. I mean, if you look at it critically,
I agree.
It's not an achievement.
Yeah.
What do you do within that constitutional framework? That is what that is where the test is.
Yeah.
So we were talking about these two groups of people.
Yes.
The people, you know, the people by themselves in a group, okay, cannot effectively check the person, the governors. You see, I mean, that is why we have the people would have to get their representatives.
Yes.
You know, we have MPs.
Yes.
Because
yes.
when people are all over the country and scattered, unless the issue is a serious one, they will not come together.
Yeah.
They can't come together.
Yeah.
They call it collective action
Yes,
problem.
yeah.
They can't come together and fight. So we have their representative and we have political parties who are supposed to collate the views and champion the cause of the people.
Yeah.
But you have a parliament where, really, truly speaking, there's no check going on.
Not at
against
all.
Against the executive.
Not at all.
Executive in Ghana does what
it's such a disappointment.
Yeah, so
such a disappointment.
You sit down and then your MPs are complaining that they didn't approve any money for the cathedral, yet government has spent how much? The cathedral is about, is it 400 million?
400 million plus.
Yeah. You see, how much is Ghana's budget? That 400 million could be allocated to something without Parliament's approval.
Were they sleeping? What happened?
How did that happen?
You know,
and that's not the only thing. The Bank of Ghana demonstration is also about some money being used to build a headquarters.
Exactly, it didn't pass through Parliament.
You see,
so Parliament doesn't exist anymore. As
so
far
you
as
see,
the
clearly the executive can do what he likes,
yeah.
and nothing will happen. You know, and nothing will happen.
Yeah.
These are the problems, and we need to focus on, particularly Parliament. How do we re-engineer, restructure Parliament to perform its functions? What exactly is holding Parliament back from performing its functions? It may be that 50%, but now we have a different system. We have a unique, I mean, with this election, the past election. So where Parliament is divided almost into two, at the center. But it doesn't look like we are seeing a lot of checks as we expected to see.
I have always said that the most disappointing parliament in this Fourth Republic is the current parliament. That is my personal position, because I feel like they have all the chance and the opportunity to ensure that the right things are done, and to write history for us. But so nothing has happened.
It tells us that the problem really is not even about 50% coming from 50% of ministers coming from. It is kind of a psyche, a cultural something where, you know, I teach, so sometimes I have conversations with my students about some of these points, and then there are people who live in this country, highly educated people, sophisticated guys, top, hard-working guys, everything, who think that, honestly, the president is the father of the nation. You know, we say these things as we are saying the father of the nation and everything, but the reality is that people believe and think that the president is truly the father, like the father at home.
At home.
And a father who commands everything and everything, sleep and everybody sleeps
and he does what and go and do it.
He spends money the way he wants and no one can question him and all that. That is how people see the president. And some of these people are in Parliament.
Very true.
Yeah, so you can imagine someone like this in Parliament, and then you're asking him, there's a budget, and you ask him to look at the budget. He's not looking at the budget with the understanding that I have what it takes to disapprove something in the budget, or to vote against something in the budget. Because his mindset is not allowing him to even imagine doing that. Look, since 1992, I think it was last year, budget that Parliament disapproved the budget.
That's
chiefs, prominent chiefs were crying, why the country is going, the democracy is collapsing,
so
why is Parliament doing this, we have to do this. But that is also prominent chiefs. That tells you that there's even a deficit of understanding of democracy. If you go to a country, let's take, let's not even go, well, let's use America because we like to. Almost every year, they have something called government shutdown. What does it mean? Government shutdown simply means that Congress has not approved the budget. And if the budget has not been approved, nothing could be spent. The president can't spend anything, so they shut down the whole government, they shut down the whole system, people will not be paid, and that's how it works. And it happens almost in fact, a few weeks ago, there was almost a shutdown. So for the first time in 30 years, you have a constitution and the budget has been disapproved for genuine reason, and we all know why the budget was disapproved.
Was disapproved.
Why should chiefs step in and be crying and be complaining,
Okay.
and they said the country is coming to an end. You know, it tells you that we are really not even ready for this
For
democracy.
the democracy
thing.
we are practicing.
We see the father-like figure, and we think that we should allow him.
Doc, what we, from all indication, it is clear that our democracy has some weaknesses. We are not even understanding the democracy we are practicing.
At all.
People call it Kebi Mami Kebi. Others call it 4 years, 8 years, just for voting. That's it. So at the end of the day, even if I'm frustrated, my colleague will tell me, you don't worry, election will come. So that is it. They don't realize that it is 4 years of my life that I'm going to lose. 8 years of my life. They said, you wait, election will come, they will come back. But I don't think that is what democracy should be about. Ghana's democracy, we are not practicing it the way we ought to. Indeed, even if we are practicing, there's a possibility that we are practicing the wrong kind of democracy because we are not getting the results that we expect to get. All indicators, everything suggests that we are weakening our foundation and everything. Is it an issue of, you've mentioned that we don't understand the democracy we are practicing, but is it also an issue of we adopting the wrong form of democracy?
Well, I don't think there's really something like the wrong form of democracy. Well, from a constitutional law point of view, the system that people establish is the system that they have chosen to run.
Right.
And it is actually wrong technically or inappropriate to say that this democracy is better than
the democracy.
I mean, let me limit myself to from constitutional point of view. So you cannot question and say that Ghana's constitution is better than Togolese constitution.
Right.
Because the understanding is that a constitution is basically what people choose for themselves.
That's right.
So having said that, it appears we expect something different from what we are doing.
Sure.
And that is the problem because we keep doing one thing
and expect a different result.
A different result. So then the question is, we have to question ourselves rather than the democracy. We have to question ourselves: are we really mad? Because they say madness. The definition of madness is doing something
the same thing, and expecting a different result.
So are we that proverbial mad people?
Yes.
We probably are.
Yeah.
We probably are because we keep complaining. But there are a few things that we can do.
Okay.
It begins with what citizens, what you and I have been doing in so many places. And all. We need to create awareness. Let citizens understand what democracy is. Citizens should be able to understand that no one is going to save you. You see, we live in a country either because of our culture or because of our religions and whatever. We think that we don't even take responsibility for our own actions.
That's very true.
We believe that there's some God is somewhere who will come and save us, and then so long as we pray, certain things are going to change. So, and when you have a country with that kind of psyche, you don't go anywhere because you don't take responsibility. You don't want to change. So we need to explain. We need to continue this education and let people understand that. Look, whatever happens to you is directly attributable to you. The decisions you wake up and make, whether to sleep or whether to wake up, what time to wake up and what time to sleep. We need to take responsibility rather than thinking that someone else will be taking responsibility. And once we get that done, the next thing is that we will now be interested in knowing what our duties and our responsibility is. Right now, people don't care about their responsibilities. People don't know. Look, if you're on social media, young people, you're always complaining. Everything, there's some they know what is wrong. But interestingly, they don't see their role in correcting what is wrong. So,
very true.
Yeah, so there's an issue about this fix the country. They've been raising issues that we all agree with. So, for example, they tell us that we need a new, we need to look at our constitution and make a new one. I don't know anyone who disagrees with that. Even as someone who is teaching constitutional, everybody agrees that there must be something wrong with. We need to do something about constitution. You will never get that thing done unless we, the people, come up and make it clear to the government that we want it done.
Very well.
So, for example, you see, you were just telling me that in opposition, the politicians say they will do it.
They'll do it.
When they come to power, because there's a reward. The whole world is governed by reward systems. There's a reward when I'm in government.
Yeah.
Why should I be changing what is working for me and giving me what I want? So for those in government, there's always some reward in the deficiency for them.
Yeah.
So they are never going to be motivated intrinsically to solve that problem. That is where the people come in. If you are really serious, of course, not everybody could be in government. In your lifetime, just about only maybe 5% of the people could be in government in every generation. So about 95% of the people are never going to see the inside of any government. But those people should be able to do things that will compel those who are within the government to change things to suit them. And that is the meaning of democracy. Until those outside government push those people who are inside government to do things that will favor them, forget it, nothing will change. And so when there is a need to, and people believe in the institution. So for example, there's an issue. The minister has gone to, let's say, the minister has stolen money and is keeping the money in his house. And then everybody's angry, okay? And then somebody said, let's go onto the street and protest. Then the day comes and only
a handful
of people go there. What it tells the person in power is that this is not even a serious matter.
Serious thing, yeah.
So because if they are really angry,
they would have
been
on
in their
street.
thousands. About 20 million active youth, strong people in this country. So if they are really angry, we should see at least 100,000 on the streets. But if you see 10,000, even 5,000, sometimes even 1,000, less than 1,000,
some are less.
Means that the issue is not even serious. They go on. Because you see, all the people in government, and when I say government, I mean those who benefit directly from the consolidated fund as their revenue. They get their income from the consolidated fund, including the judges, including parliamentarians and all these people. The truth of the matter is that they are one people. No matter how you look at it, they are one people. And it's like a family, okay? The children and the parents. Yeah, there's a difference between father and mother. But when all is said and done, father and mother are one side of the family, while the children are on the other side.
That's right.
So that is why those who frame Constitution give us something called the right to protest. And it's one of the most unlimited rights in the Constitution. You don't have to seek permission to do it. You don't have to give reasons why you are doing it. You can just get up and say, I want to protest. Ask yourself, why did framers of Constitution give us that thing? Because they know that all the people in government on this side of the divide, they are one.
They belong to one side.
Yes. So if you cannot get what you want from them, usually. Yes. So to be able to get them to do what you want, they have opened. So there are courts, there is Traj, there are all the institutions that are supposed to help to check the executive. They are all there. So ask yourself, why did they create a space for protest, for demonstration? They do that because they know that these people are usually one. And they can actually be one. And when they are one, they become stronger. And you cannot use any formal institution or formal structures to get through to them. So they open this side for you. Yet people live in this country and then they think that going on demonstration is a crime. They think there is hooliganism. And you see, so these are some of the challenges we are facing in our country. Until we correct that and we let the people understand that if you want real change, you need to force those inside the government to do things that you want to do. And you cannot be doing that when it's 4 years.
That's right.
You can't be doing that every 4 years. No,
every 4 years.
It's a daily...
As I indicated, it is 4 years is your life, 4 years of your life. You can't waste it just like that. And 4 years.
And what we know about these 4 years is that the 4 years does not even guarantee
there'll be a change.
And it won't even guarantee that what you actually voted for will be that.
You'll get it. That's right. That's very true.
We know that what you voted for may not be the outcome of the election.
It won't reflect.
So if you sit down and you say that you want to wait for 4 years, the 4 years, fine. Let's even assume that it's 4 years. When 4 years come and you go and you vote, and the result of the election is not true and reflective of what people voted for, you have to wait for another 4 years.
For another 4 years.
So you see, it is actually wrong and demeaning. It's lack of self-dignity to sit down and say that you only hold your leaders accountable every 4 years.
The number of, oh my goodness, it looks like our time is running very fast. Checking, we have less than 5 minutes already. But the number of comments and questions that have come in here. One talks about the state of Ghana's democracy, is asking, where did we come from? I'm sure we've talked about that. What is there that empowers oversight institutions or oversight in the institutions as far as the Constitution is concerned? I think we've talked a bit about that. So what are the pressing issues today that makes us feel we are on a time bomb? How effective are the arms of government, parliament, and the rest? How do citizens understand their rights, and to what extent do they exercise it? What are the causative factors? Where do we put the blame? Most of this, I mean, there are a number of them, but I think these are the crucial ones that that can has my attention. But it looks like most of them we have really dealt with. We've talked about
the time bomb.
Yes.
We've
not dealt. Yeah. So maybe that may be the briefly on that. Look, we are on a time bomb. I'm sitting on a time bomb. Doc, anyone can pretend, but the system is not suggesting that we are stabilizing the democracy that we are practicing. We are sitting on a time bomb. What are the factors? What do we do? How do we ensure that if it is the democracy we want to have, how do we ensure that we are holding it? Does it also have to do with this partisanship that has gotten into our system so much?
You see, it goes back to, I think the whole time bomb thing.
Yes.
Is about economics. You see, when the means of production or the resources are centered in a particular place, away from the majority of the people, people first become slaves. When I say slave, I'm not even talking of formal slave. I'm talking of people lose
mental
common sense.
Slaves. Yeah,
common sense. Because you see, for human beings, the fundamental need is food. Economic is the fundamental. So when people they know that my daily bread comes from you, they will worship you. Initially, they will continue to do that. They will lose every sense of dignity, every sense of self-respect and everything. They will do that for some time. Then when it gets to a point where they are not getting it from you or any other place, then they become rebellious.
That's right.
We have reached a point, so we have been on the slave, side of things for some time now. Now we are still not getting what we feel we deserve. There's so much hunger, poverty. I mean, so much is bad when you go out there. If you interact with, because of where I find myself as a teacher and I interact with young people who have problems, poverty is real. We are getting to a point where we are getting to the rebellious side of things. We have done with it. We are deep into the slavery one, because look. Recently, I saw young people. Young people, they don't only follow politicians and misbehave. They follow chiefs. They follow pastors.
Yeah.
So it is not even a political problem, it is economic. Because whoever is willing to give them bread, they will follow. They are following chiefs ready to go into tribal war. I think last 2 weeks or so, is it the last 2 weekends? What did we not see, in the...
Is it a Doma?
Yeah. Those are young people who were ready at the snap of a finger to kill themselves. You see what happened? Churches are doing the same thing.
Exactly.
You go to churches, people in church are ready to kill themselves because of some. And then when politicians, we have seen them, this, what's the name of this thing? This...
Which one?
Vigilante groups.
Vigilante groups, yes.
And then we see, so it's not even just about politicians, even rich people. Land guards. So it tells you it's not a political problem, it's an economic issue.
Problem,
So if we are not ready and able to solve the economic issues, problems that we have, the time bomb is real. It's real. It's just waiting for the trigger.
That's right.
And those who don't, they have nots, will try to find it from the house.
That's right.
Whichever way.
That's right.
That is the time bomb.
That's right. Doc, our time is up. Your last comments.
My last comment is to the young people of our beloved country.
Right.
We cannot have a better democracy by just sitting down and wishing that things get done. We have to fold our sleeves and go to work. We need to compel those who have power over resources to distribute it the way we think is fair. What it means is that we have to be at work 24/7. We have to be on our feet, and we need to make sure that we get things done the way we want. And that is not waiting for 4 years to vote.
Right.
That is not sitting on maybe social media and complaining.
And complaining.
No. You have to
Take
get to work,
action.
action on the ground and get results.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Honestly, I wish this conversation would never end. I really wish it would never end. But viewers, unfortunately, this is where time will allow us. As has been said, you cannot sit on social media and expect that the democracy will work. Key among this conversation is the fact that where we are now, we are sitting on a time bomb, and we have moved away from the state of being mad. Now we just need this, just a little, something small to push, and we will explode. And that is not what we want as a country. And that is why there's a need for us as a country to focus on economic measures that will salvage the situation. As always, my wardrobe is sponsored by This Clothing. This Clothing, you can locate them at Domi Pillar 2. And if you want to call them on phone, you can reach them on 0244-999-113. The number again, 0244-999-113. This Clothing, just get there, especially in this festive mood, and you are assured of getting any type of dress for any occasion that you have in mind. Next week, we are going to have another episode. But even before next week, this coming Wednesday, this episode will also be repeated. It will be repeated again here, TV XYZ, 11 a.m. Call in your friends, particularly the youth. Call your colleagues and tell them that those who have missed this episode, they should tune in to TV XYZ this coming Wednesday at 11 a.m. It is going to be repeated. Until we meet again next week for another transformative, educative episode. I want to wish you a very good night, and also to say to Doc, thank you so much for coming. Thank you so much. So viewers, enjoy your night.